Hello everybody, today is Tuesday, April 19th, and you're listening to the WideShut Webcast on Resistance Radio. That's resistradio.com and wideshut.co.uk. And today I'm not coming to you from the freezing shed of truth, I'm coming to you from the boiling shed of truth. It's like a greenhouse in here today. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing alright tonight. Can I have a customary mic check? Can you all hear me okay in the chat room? Because we know what old BTR is like. No static in my ears this week, that's a nice change. But I've got to admit, I haven't planned for much of this tonight. I haven't really been following the news this week. I haven't really done any research this week. I've been a bit bogged down, really. Just been in one of those lazy, sluggish moods where you just want to play the PlayStation and eat pizza all day. It's almost like my mind's been foggy, like I can't quite focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. And some people say that's down to chemtrails. But personally, it's probably just because I'm a lazy bastard. I mean, you don't need a chemtrail to make me sleep until midday. So, but hopefully I'm going to snap out of it and get back on track in the next few days. Good shows on Resistance Radio last week, as always. Sad to see Squint. Well, I don't know if he's gone for good. He did say a little while and then he might come back. But it's sad to see him go nonetheless. And I can completely understand where he's coming from. Constant battles with myself about whether what I'm doing is the right thing, whether I'm being effective or not, whether I should be doing it at all. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, when I was his age, I wanted to make movies. I wanted to be a mainstream journalist. I was about to open a stock trading account. I was getting into internet marketing and making a little bit of money doing that. There's so many things I could have been doing. And there is an element of regret there. And I do sit there some nights and think, what if? What if I didn't find out any of this information? What if I was just a sheep for the rest of my life? You know, I'm starting to see some of my mates now. They're starting to get nice cars. Some of them are finishing uni and going into business. Some are even thinking about buying houses. And I'm on a near minimum, basically, sitting in a shed, ranting and raving in a microphone. So it does get to you sometimes, these things. I have a lot of worries about where we're going and where I'm going personally. Am I ever going to be able to afford a house? Hopefully silver will keep going up, and maybe yes. But, you know, I worry about perhaps getting ridiculed in the mainstream media one day. I think it was the Mail on Sunday or something, one of the newspapers, bought my 7/7 film the other week. Might have just been somebody in the office with the email address, but that worries me. Because as much as I've been on radio shows and talked to people on the internet, I'm not a very, what's the word, outgoing guy. I don't think I could handle certain things yet. I was asked to go on Russia Today once, because it was petrifying. And then the second time, I said I would do it, and then it fell through. So, you know, karma is a bitch. But yeah, doing this kind of thing, it is a constant mindfuck. So I can understand when people get down in the dumps that they want to take a break. And that's fine. And I can understand when people just want to go back to being a semi-sheep again. That's also fine. We're all different. And as I said, this week has kind of been one of those weeks where things have slowed down a bit. You know, got a little bit tired of it all. Not necessarily with the truth movement, just one of those weeks, you know, where you can't be asked. But I am still trying to get the 7/7 film finished. But at the same time, I'm increasingly difficult, because at the same time as trying to make a documentary and put all my creative energy into that, I've got to update my wrestling website. And then I've got to try and keep WideShut updated with articles. And then I've got to research for the radio show. And then I've got to find time to work on my finances and admin stuff. And then I'll get calls from advertisers for my website. And I've got to deal with that. And then I've got to edit the show that I did the night before with video. And then after it's all done, I feel like I've not done enough. So I need to read more books. So I'll try and read a book, and then I can't concentrate. Then I feel like I haven't watched enough films about the New World Order. So I try and watch more films. And then, of course, I need to actually find time to relax and spend time with the family and mow the fucking lawn. And then there's things on top of that, like I've got to try and eat healthier. I've got to keep buying organic. I've got to buy shop clothes. I've got to resist the urge to eat McDonald's when I'm drunk on a Saturday night. This shit isn't easy. But at the same time, I know that I'm doing the right thing. And I know that I'm a much better person for it. And I wouldn't give this up for the world. So I want to thank Mr. Britt for making this thing possible. And I want to thank everybody else that's resisting. And, you know, I'll be happy to see some of you again at the royal wedding protest and meet Mr. Britt for the first time. And hopefully we can keep this thing progressing. But anyway, yeah, the 7/7 film. I've got about 25 minutes of it done so far. As I said on a few other episodes, I've completely redone. Oh, it was going to be a remake, sort of just edited a little bit, but I've completely gone back to the drawing board, made a new script, put it in a different order, and I aim to make it more of a traditional length of about 2 hours long. Cookie brought it up, and I brought it up in either it was a past show or on Pal Talk or whatever, but there is a double-edged sword when trying to sort of spread this information through documentary films, because on one side it's so alien to most people, this information, that you really do need to show all of the sources, all of the news clippings, you know, videos, all of it, and you have to back up what you're saying. And you need to fully explain the history, else they're not going to understand it. People are just not going to understand where you're coming from. What the hell's a false flag terror attack? Why would they do that? You know, Islam's evil. People don't want to know that their government have consistently funded, trained and manipulated Islam. So it's not good enough just saying it. You've got to go back and document it. Some of my main trolls on YouTube, I don't have as many as Mr. Britt, thankfully, but some of them, you know, the trolls that I get, they're from the anti-Muslim crowd, the EDL type people. And there's no way you're ever going to reach those people who think that Islam is the root of the world's problems, unless you fully document that people like Bush Sr. and Brzezinski and the CIA funded and trained the Mujahideen and worked directly alongside with, you know, Bin Laden from 79 and through the 80s. And according to FBI whistleblowers, up until the day of 9/11 itself. You're not going to be able to tell them that extremist Islam in Britain has been encouraged by the government's own policies unless you document that al-Muhajirun and their leader Omar Bakri admitted that he was closely monitored and that he was allowed to send British Muslims to terror training camps to fight Blair and Clinton's war in Kosovo, which of course is now under the EU superstate by rule of law. the web of information is so vast and interconnected that you really have to document it all. But it's a double-edged sword, because at the same time, the average man in the street probably isn't going to want to sit through a 4.5-hour documentary like 7/7 The Big Picture was. So I'm trying to find a middle ground, and this time I'm trying to speed up the narration. I'm trying to cut out a lot of the extra detail that wasn't really needed and is not directly related to 7/7. I'm trying to make something a little bit more accessible that I can put on one DVD disc, per film, and actually hand it out on the streets to people and have them watch it and go, holy shit, I'm going to look into this some more. And I think that's why 7/7 The Ripple Effect has such a following still. I've obviously got my criticisms of the film, and I've been through all that before, and I'm really not liking the fact that there's a lot of blind followers of the film right now, because the creator is, of course, or was, sort of standing trial for extradition because of all this related stuff, because he sent his films to people in the court and whatnot. We've been through all that. But just like the first Loose Change, which I think people would admit is probably not the best 9/11 film to give people anymore, but the way they were made, short and extremely powerful and tailored to the average person, with the hit music and the narration and the montages, well-placed soundtracks, it kept people's attention. So that's what I'm trying to do with the new film. I'm going to try and make it about 2 hours. I'm going to try and up the effects a little. I'm getting more comfortable with Sony Vegas. I've played around with some voice things, trying to make the narration a bit smoother, put a bit of Alex Jones bass in my voice. And one thing that I've discovered is a program, Scribe, where you can actually put a proper graphic on the disc. Just all these little things to make it look a bit more professional and a bit more accessible to the average person. But it is a double-edged sword. Do you pile in all the information possible so you can absolutely 100% prove what you're saying, at the risk of people going, oh, this is boring and too long? Or do you boil it down into something more shocking and sensational that the average person looks and goes, oh my god, I've got to look into this? It's a difficult situation that I'm trying to weigh up. And one thing that's been bugging me while making this film is I'm not sure what style to do it in. The Big Picture was a little bit easier because I did it in 10, 15 chunks and put it on YouTube as I went along. But watching that all together is a little bit tedious. And this new film, it's starting to come across as just a ream of facts, rather than what you'd sort of expect from a traditional documentary. I mean, I'm not a professional, I'm just one guy in a shed trying to make a film. And it's becoming quite frustrating trying to find ways to break up the information and make it more impactful and trying to help it sink in, because if you're throwing out all these things in 5 minutes or whatever, you're going to forget half of it. So I'm trying to figure out the best sort of way to make it more, I don't know, what's the word, more catchy, more, just to hold people's attention. Most documentaries, with a beginning, with a middle, with an end, with conflicts and problems that get solved. It's not fiction, but most documentaries you can obviously see have been edited in such a way that it carries people along through the story, if you like. And I need a way of making that happen in my film. And one thing I did consider was actually filming myself as a sort of, perhaps not a protagonist, but where I can be the one asking the questions between each chunk of information, and then the film goes off and lays out the facts and the information that answers those questions. And, you know, that's one thing I could do. You know, another thing I could do is just leave it as narration and just keep it straightforward. I'm not really sure the best way of doing it. Maybe you guys have an opinion, you know? What are some of your best documentary formats? What do you enjoy the most? What are some of your favourite documentaries? One problem is finding decent background music, because I bought one disc, which has quite a bit of music on it, but I've used it so much in other films and videos that it's got to a point where when I play one track, I'm thinking of something else that I did before, and it just doesn't flow properly. So maybe I should buy a cheap suit from Tesco's and sort of do a little bit of a Alex Jones intro, or maybe I should stick strictly to narration. I could, of course, rent out a room and hire June Sarpong and some wannabe Tom Cruise to pretend to be investigators like Jesse Ventura does. Or maybe me and Britt could hide in the trees near the MI5 headquarters and pretend to be investigating MI5's role. Maybe that would work. But I don't know. One problem, though, I think, with perhaps having me on camera is that I'm still quite young, and you know, people don't want a jumped up kid telling them what's wrong with the world. That could be one problem if I did put myself on the film. I just don't know, but what I do know is I'm getting annoyed and tired, and I've only got 25 minutes of it done, and I need to get it finished by the anniversary, hopefully. But we'll see what happens. It will be out no matter what. I'm trying to think of different ways to make it a bit more interesting to people, because it's all good preaching to the choir. I know if I put it on the forums that I did before and whatnot, it's going to get quite a few thousand views. But the problem is, most people watching it are going to be people that already have an idea about what happened and are already in the truth movement. I need it to somehow reach the average person. Just put some porn music in the background. Oh, Squint's in the chat. Alright, mate. Yeah, if you can do custom music, then sure, I'll have a chat with you. It's just so annoying, because you got a bit of, and you're trying to find a song that suits it, and it just doesn't quite work. I need some kind of professional music score, but I don't have Alex Jones style budgets. One thing I could do is probably do a bit of filming in London during the royal wedding. You know, get a few shots of the underground, or get me walking out of the underground steps, chatting away, you know, reading a few lines. Because the David Shayler 7/7 film, I think that was quite good, the way that, you know, it cut to him standing there, you know, saying a few things, then cutting back to the film. I think that's the kind of thing I might do. You know, John Pilger does the same sort of thing, where he introduces a subject or asks a question, and then it cuts to slides and whatever. I don't know. We'll see. But the royal wedding is coming up, and Resistance Radio, or some of us, are going to be there. It'll be nice to see Mr. Brit, the hat and sunglasses, in person, even if it's a boiling hot day. It'll also be good to see Red, White and Blue again, and Lee, who I also briefly met at the London protest a few weeks back now. I'm not sure who else is going. Did Squint say he's going? Are you going, Squint? I know Cookie's doing something else, like a birthday or a wedding or something like that. But it'll be good to meet up with everybody again, and meet up with people that I didn't meet up with the first time. I mean, if you're in England, folks, and you've got the money for a train ticket, get your ass down to the royal wedding and start resisting. And even if nothing constructive happens, it'll still be a nice day, because you'll be with a bunch of people that actually understand the kind of thing that you're into. It was great last time to actually talk with people that are on the same wavelength. That on its own was worth going to London for, to be honest. Because there's only so many weeks that you can sit in the pub or whatever and bring something up and get told to shut up, because you're just the crazy conspiracy guy. Oh, he's off again. It's nice to actually talk to people that respond with intelligent answers and conversation. I do believe we're doing a Thursday about the royal wedding, some kind of round table. I don't know whether it's too wise to discuss the intricacies of our plans for the day. You don't want to sort of give away information to people hiding around in the chat room who may or may not be on our side. I'm not usually one to get paranoid on that front, but the forward intelligence and security and everything is, at record levels right now. If you've read some of the headlines, they're talking about pre-crime arrests, arresting people before they get there, stopping them from entering anywhere near the celebrations. They might literally refuse you entry to the city if they got you already on some database somewhere for being at a protest somewhere else. They've banned a Muslim group from protesting, and this Muslim group actually asked for permission, which itself is ridiculous. We have the right to protest wherever we want in a public place, even if it's spontaneous. That's just freedom, folks. So the idea that they'd have to ask for permission in the first place is something we should be deeply concerned about. There's going to be secret. They say that in the newspapers, there's going to be people infiltrating and looking out for potential problems. Plainclothes policemen, people up high on the building, zooming in with their super duper cameras. And there's also going to be designated stop and search zones where the law doesn't matter anymore, because in this we can ransack your bags and stuff with no reasonable suspicion, just because you're in this zone. So there's definitely some shenanigans going on, and maybe we shouldn't be so open about what we're doing if you don't want to give them any information that they might use against us. I googled anarchists and wedding earlier today, and there's a whole host of, some of these articles are quite ridiculous. I think at least one of them is just completely made up, if not all of them, just to try and justify these ramped up measures and this stop and search stuff. I did manage to get one link, I'll paste in the chat, from the Evening Standard, I think it is, or one of the London papers, and it really, really is ridiculous. Actually, no, I've ballsed this up. I can't paste it in the chat because the link is on my desktop PC and I'm logged into the chat on my laptop. Never mind. But just search anarchists plot to wreck Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding celebration. And basically they interview this supposed top-ranking anarchist organizer who just so happens to happily tell them everything. And I'm getting a message on Skype. You still online? I am still online. I hope I'm still online. Can you guys not hear me at all? Bollocks. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Ignore. I think red, white and blue just totally confused me. Loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear. Okie dokie. We can hear you. Oh, never mind. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, this article about this anarchist who's claiming that he's a high-ranking organizer for the Black Bloc anarchists, which isn't even a real group because it's just a tactic, but they don't mention that, and they don't even mention what anarchism is, but never mind. And this guy supposedly happily talks to the newspaper about all of his tactics for the day and all of the evil he's going to use, and it's just completely ridiculous. So if you search that article, anarchists plot to wreck Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding celebration, it is quite ridiculous. And I think even normal members of the public in the comments section were saying, "Oh, this is fake. This is just you know, this is rubbish." But this is what they're doing to ramp up the fear, to ramp up the false paradigm. And it's just a way to keep the average person in their bubble and to make them hate anybody that isn't in their bubble. And I'm not too sure about how the other hosts feel about this, but personally I think we should probably take a softer approach. I think, you know, being a bit more, maybe that's what we was going to do anyway, just approach people nicely, hand out leaflets politely, just offer information, have a chat. I don't think there's any need to go there dressed in black, and I mean, I don't even think we need to take the megaphone. I mean, if somebody wants me to, I'll bring it, but I think if we do it in a more softly manner, we might be able to reach people better than if, you know, we were traditionally protesting, walking around with banners and sort of shouting things through the megaphone and things like that. Maybe it'd be better to just mingle with the crowd and offer the information that way. I mean, I don't want to ruin the day for everybody. If it really is that ramped up, it's just as easy to take a different approach. Doesn't mean it's a wrong approach. It might be a better approach. And I'm sure we'll be looking to have a good time anyway. The beverages will be had before we get onto the street. I'm sure, you know, we don't want to end up in cells or anything. And I think it you know, where I'm coming from, it goes back to a video I did a while back about how you never win an argument because it just becomes a battle of egos. You're automatically pitting yourself off against somebody else, and human nature makes you or them, or well, both of you, makes you want to win. And not always constructive. We're not there to necessarily win arguments. We're there to wake people up. I think there's a little bit of a difference. So I think if we're polite, offer leaflets to people, chat with them about the main points, we might be more successful than doing a megaphone thing. Now that doesn't mean don't be forceful with our opinions, or that doesn't mean don't shout back when a group of royalists are, ignorantly shouting at us. But you got to understand that the majority of people there are going to be stuck in a paradigm where the media have told them that we're anarchists, that we're even terrorists. And we need to break that illusion by not playing into the paradigm. If anything, the best thing we could get on camera wouldn't be some amazing speech on a megaphone or some kind of scuffle with the police that gets us 10 billion YouTube hits. I think the best thing we could get on camera would be royalists shouting abuse at us, because it would just expose their ignorance and how hypocritical they are. You read some of these article comments and they're, oh, dirty anarchists and shoot them. Well, that's nice, isn't it? It's sad, but some people think they're part of the team. They think that they have some kind of personal connection with the royals. They're our royals. They're the epitome of our country. This is our country. God save the Queen. This has never been the people's country. It's been the rich and the aristocrats and the bankers' country, but it's never been our country. I mean, do you think the Queen really cares about the people? If she was any kind of moral person, she would open up all of her palaces and estates and let them live there. If she really cared about the people of the country, why doesn't she foot the bill for some of the deficit? Everybody in this country is under massive austerity. Each child born has over £15,000 worth of debt. It's probably more than that. Maybe it's 150,000. I'm not sure. There's a 1 and 5 in there somewhere, and it's in the thousands. She, the Queen of England, she's not some innocent old lady. She knows the score. She still meets with heads of state. She still goes over to America and meets the Obamas. She still has to sign off on certain things. She knows full well what's going on. Even if she wasn't in a position to change it, if she really had the morals and decency and love for humanity, she would speak about it. You think the media is not going to cover what the Queen says? The royals are a corrupt ruling class with a history of some of the worst bloodshed that the world has ever seen. The worst empire that the world has ever seen. They started the opium trade. They may not do much now, and there's some evidence to say that they do more than most people think they do. But even if they simply were just these, puppets that are just there for tradition, and even then, they're the biggest welfare heads in the entire world. We pay tax money to keep them there in luxury. The media like benefit scroungers. They're the biggest ones out of all of them. And I think Red is going to print off some leaflets, and I'm going to design some and get them sent to me from a website that will do leaflets for you. I'm going to put some of these points on there. like they're the biggest benefit scroungers in the country, that, you know, if they footed the bill, we could pay off the deficit, you know, all these things that the average person simply can't ignore if it's handed to them. And they're not going to win a debate, are they? If we've got all the facts down, they're not going to win the debate. So I think the best approach is leaflets, polite discussion, and spirited debate if it gets to that point. You know, there's other things. You know, the Queen selling us out to the EU. She recently asked for a larger allowance during the recession. There's tons of points we could put on these leaflets. But that's just my quick take on that. We can talk about it in some more detail on Thursday. And I also might sort of do a bit more research and present it on my next show before the protest. I think there's one more show before the protest. Or the meetup, maybe it's not a protest. An infiltration, a mind war, an info war, whatever it is. I know Charlie Veach and the Love Police are going to be there. I think they're taking a bit more of a, I don't know the word, not a violent approach, but, you know, they said they're going to infiltrate the crowd at a certain time, spout off on the megaphones from all different angles. I think that would be a sort of a good publicity stunt way to raise awareness. I think if we all go with different, you know, maybe if there's different groups with different approaches, we'll get even more people. What else can I talk about today? Oh yeah, Exomatrix. I thought I would address, you know, the very illuminating interview Mr. Britt had on Friday with Exomatrix TV from YouTube. You know, I'm usually not one to get into personal debates and tit for tat and all that kind of thing. And I think Exomatrix, him using my graphic isn't a big deal. That's why I've only ever mentioned it once on my show. But the problem is he then comes on the Mr. Britt show and Britt asks him about it, and then he spews some utter bollocks, which I think is worth addressing tonight. You know, I'm not going to let him have the final say on the network that I broadcast on, when I can tell that he's feigning ignorance. So I'll just recap this little Exomatrix TV thing. Maybe we'll get a boost in the ratings or whatever. Everybody likes a bit of controversy. But basically, I wanted a snazzy intro clip for my YouTube videos about a year ago, I think. Maybe it was even 2009, I can't really remember. But, you know, I wanted a nice intro because my videos were starting to become more popular and I wanted to look a bit more professional. So I did a bit of digging on YouTube and found a fellow truther who's also a graphic designer. And I paid him to make me a unique video intro. So first off, this isn't an image that Exomatrix found on Google or just stumbled across. It's not something anybody could just find. It was designed from scratch, firstly by hand on a storyboard, and then designed with whatever graphics program he used. It was designed by a fellow truther whose work I admired enough to compensate him for it. So what right does Exomatrix TV have to steal that and put it on his channel without promoting me, without crediting the designer, who is a truther as well? You know, it's just common courtesy, really, isn't it? And the problem is not necessarily what he did, it's that when he came on Mr. Brit's show, he was playing dumb. Like it was just something he found somewhere, and he has no idea who I am or where he got the image from. He can't really remember. The only place the image has ever been is on my videos. For him to get the image, he would have to have watched my videos, paused it, taken a screenshot, cut it out, uploaded it, so don't sit there and say that you wasn't sure that I was the real person. I'm the only person you could have got it from. So, just so people chatting bullshit, I went back through my emails. YouTube sends you an email with everything you do on YouTube. So I just typed in Exomatrix TV to see how things went down. And 21st of November 2009, Exomatrix TV has subscribed to your YouTube. Oh, that's nice. 19th of February 2010. Exomatrix TV has made a comment on Austin, Texas plane crash. Domestic terrorism, says NWO Media. That was one of my videos about the Austin, Texas plane crash. And he comments on that video, 5 stars, added you to my favourite channel. Oh, that's nice. 31st of March 2010. Exomatrix TV has posted a comment on your profile. Awesome uploads. Cheers for that. 31st of March 2010 again. Exomatrix TV has sent you a message. Keelan, he used my real name there. Can I speak with you on Skype? No, who the hell are you? I don't want to speak to you on Skype. That's not what I said, but I didn't know this guy. 17th of October 2010. Exomatrix TV has posted a comment on your profile. Thanks. Although I have no idea why he said thanks. I've got an idea that he might actually be using auto comment bots on people's channels to make comments and to thumb up things and thumb down things to draw in more subscribers and stuff. Who knows? But I don't know what he was saying thanks for then. I can't really find anything that he would thank me for. 27th of October 2010, Exomatrix TV has sent you a message. Connect with your main website, wideshut.co.uk. I live in the Netherlands and cannot connect with your main website and tried everything. Blah-de-blah. And then he goes, I can offer you a website on my network, stuff like that. I said, no thanks. The web host is going to sort it out. It's all fine. Don't worry about it. 17th of January 2011. Exomatrix TV steals my image. And this is what I sent to him. I just said, hey man, any chance you can remove that bit of my image from your intro video? No, hang on. Let me read that again. I said, hey man, any chance you can remove that bit of my intro video from your background image? He's basically got it on his channel as like the background. It wouldn't be so much of a problem, but I did to make it, and I don't see you acknowledging my channel. Just seems a little disingenuous. Peace. His response, Skype me. Why the hell would I want to Skype some strange 40-year-old from the Netherlands that I've never spoken to before properly? When he's got my image on there. But my point with all this is, mate, you know full well who I am. You know what my channel is. You've subscribed it. You said it was awesome. You messaged me using my real name. You quite clearly visit my website because you were concerned one day when it wouldn't load. So no, it's not a big deal that some YouTube channel uses my image. The big deal is you don't ask, and then you come on the very network that I have a show on and play dumb to the whole thing. You know, just be honest about it, mate. Get called out on our bullshit from time to time, and the best policy is just to accept that you were chatting bullshit and move on. Don't pretend like you don't know who I am, because you've contacted me on a number of occasions. So I just thought I would throw that out there so he doesn't, you know, get the last word on the network that I'm actually on myself. I don't really care. You can keep the image, you can delete the image, you can link to my channel, you can not link to my channel, I don't really care. I just thought I would explain what happened and why it was brought up on Mr. Brit Show and all that kind of stuff. So that's enough of that. What else can we get into today? There was an article on Squint's channel actually about them sending in ground troops into like a few thousand soldiers to be sent into Libya, which of course was never going to happen. It was just going to be a no-fly zone. It was just going to be, you know, airstrikes, and then it was just going to be this, and, you know, it ends up being a fucking invasion. Just like we've been saying. And it's not for humanitarian needs, it's not to help the people, it's to steal the oil. And I've been through that, you know, to death on this show. And I've written about the same sort of thing that's going on in the Ivory Coast. It's you know, it's obvious. It's obvious to us. And I know that it's not obvious to other people. Sometimes it's hard to understand why it isn't obvious to other people. And we can go round in circles talking about why and how, and I don't know. I haven't got all the answers. But what some very evil people are continually starting some very evil wars for some very evil profits. That's kind of me done today. I've not really got anything else to say. I didn't really plan much, as I said. I haven't really been keeping up with the news so much. Tony Blair. Why is Tony Blair popping into my mind? There was something about Tony Blair. Was there any headlines about Tony Blair, if anyone knows? Because for some reason his image just popped into my mind. Not something you want to happen very often. You don't really want to think about his ugly face, but it just popped into my mind, and I think there's something important to do with Tony Blair. I don't know. Anyway, I believe Cookie will be doing his rabbit hole orientation show in about half an hour, so be sure to check that out. Actually, I've got a funny song to leave you with today, just to get you in the right mood for this wonderful, patriotic, royal wedding. Cheers, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, man, it's a royal wedding. I'm dreading the wedding. I don't know what to do. I think I'll leave the country or take up sniffing glue. I am dreading the wedding. It's going to be a bore. All those royal correspondents wheeled out by the score. I'm dreading the wedding, the endless commentary. Who made the wedding dress, the hairstyle and jewelry? I am dreading the wedding, B-list celebrities clogging up the airwaves just for the press.
I'm dreading the wedding. I'm dreading the wedding.
bemused in their grandchildren. I am dreading the wedding. It's going to be so crap. All those gaudy costumes, just one big circus.
I'm dreading the wedding. I'm dreading the wedding. I'm dreading the wedding. I'm dreading the wedding.
Would you please stand for Lord and Lady Scrotum?
What a lovely piece of